Let's talk buttonholes. Buttonholes are something that usually people shy away from, but they're so easy when you realize how the machine is set up to do this. First off, there is a buttonhole foot that's going to allow you to put your button in it. So then it knows what length you need your buttonhole to be. They call this a one-step buttonhole. So after you've put your button in, you're going to go ahead and tap the little release lever in the back to drop the foot off, and then slide that underneath. If it doesn't want to go underneath, lift the presser foot a little higher and then drop it down and get it to click into place. Now, all you need is a starting point for your buttonhole. So if you have a line on your fabric, we're going to go ahead and set it so we'll do it right there. Okay, we can slide that all the way in. Notice the foot sticks out the back. This buttonhole also is going to travel away from us or backwards. So we want to make sure that we know that when we're starting off. Okay, select the buttonhole stitch on the top of your machine. Set the width to 5 and the length between 0 and 1. It's going to be probably more in the middle, as we want it to be nice and close together for a nice satin stitch. The last thing you're going to do is there's a lever up behind the needle threader that you're going to pull down all the way, and go ahead and push it into place. When you start to stitch, all you need to do is let the machine do the whole buttonhole for you. It will start off with the tack at the beginning, and we'll start stitching away from us. And actually it's already done. When it goes back, the little push button here that we pushed in is tapped by the piece behind it to indicate that that was the length of buttonhole that we needed to do. Now you do have to manually stop it because it doesn't know where it actually started at. So when we pull this all the way out, we'll take a look at it. We always want to test our buttonholes anyway when we start off. Test it on the same fabric weight with the same interfacing, everything the same. So you'll know how it's going to look before you do it. Now I'm going to say that we probably want to bring that stitch length a little closer together. So I'm going to just slide it just a hair closer to 0 and start and do another one. Okay, so since all I need to do is have a starting place, push the lever again to activate the buttonhole, and then it will start with the tack. It'll start up the left-hand side. We'll turn around and come back towards us. I'm just watching till I get back over to where the first tack at the bottom was made, and then I'll bring it right on up. See how easy it is to do buttonholes? Buttonholes are used in a lot of places like that you might not think about other than garments. We can use them on purses and bags. We can use them in home deck projects where you might be doing something with shower curtain rings. You can have these be the opening, something for a tie back or a tie through. Use a buttonhole to secure that opening. What about drawstring pants? You could put 2 buttonholes right on the front center of a waistband of pajama pants and do a drawstring around here. Then you wouldn't have to know how much elastic to put in. Are you going to put it in too tight or too little? Let them just tie it on, and that will make it super easy. How about we do a corded buttonhole? Let's take it one step further and do a corded buttonhole. A corded buttonhole is when you have a cord that's positioned underneath the foot so that as the satin stitching goes over the cord, it's going to make it fill in. It's also going to make it very secure. So if this was done on stretchy fabrics or even home deck fabrics, it's really going to stabilize the buttonhole. What I'm going to do is it's just going to show you how and where this is going to attach, and then I'm going to put the foot on and then actually slip it in. This little extra hook, that's on the very back of the buttonhole foot, and then bring it right up the front. There's 2 little guides right here that you can bring that up and into, and that's going to help hold it. See how these 2 cords are separated? The 2 legs of the buttonhole will actually stitch one over each one. So here's what I'm going to do. First off, I'm going to go ahead and put my buttonhole foot back on the machine. Lower that down, click it into place. Make sure my lever is pushed back to activate it. Put my fabric underneath and move it to where I want it to start. Then I'm going to take my cord, just divide it in half, slip it underneath the foot and over that back part, way back behind the button. Then we're going to just bring it up the front little edges. That will kind of keep it perfectly separated. When I go ahead and put the presser foot down, that's going to really be all ready to go. Once I start stitching, it's ready to go ahead and stitch over the cord for me. It really makes a pretty buttonhole. And just stop there. Kind of makes it also fill in a little bit more. So if you haven't brought your stitch length as close as it needs to go, a corded buttonhole will let you kind of have that look that you're looking for. Okay, let's see what we've got. So once you're done, that thread off, I've clipped them away so that you don't see them, is you take one of the cords and give it a little pull. This little loop is going to disappear into the top. Give it a little tug, and then when you clip these right at the end, we'll push them back up into the buttonhole. That's all you have to do. Who would have thought that corded buttonholes are that easy?